Take two of the ban list review. We didn't actually look at any cards that were banned or were limited yet. My camera's blocking the cards, so I'm going to very quickly just say again, Master Duel usually copies the OCG ban list, as the OCG ban list is ran by the same company. The TCG ban list is a different company. They're a representative company. Boom, let's hop in. So whatever we see here very likely will happen in Master Duel. Starting off with Wandering Griffin Rider. From 1 to 3, we don't really care about this because a lot of good decks require their normal summon to activate on normal summon, or just even if it normal summons, then activates later. Otherwise, a deck like Prank Kids enjoys this because they don't actually activate their normal summon. Prank Kids, this is now unlimited across the board. They're just catching up. Great. Sprite Jet. Konami has a lot of hate for Sprite. At the risk of spoiling the rest of the ban list, I could showcase to you, it's not going to spoil anything else, right? Sprite, type in OCG, still limited to 1 on blue, limited to 1 on starter, banned on Elf, and mind you, in Master Duel, it's fully unlimited across the board. So I don't know if OCG players know something that we don't, that apparently Sprite is still super broken and amazing. Even with Elf being banned, they can't unlimit the blue in the starter, and just now Jet is going to 3. That's crazy to me. Nightmare Goblin. This card has proven to be trash. We don't care about it, but TCG is still afraid of it, sure. We now have Emergency Teleport. I was very happy to have this in my Ritual Beast deck being unlimited. Unfortunately, with Blue Eyes running around, the deck is not as viable, but we all know that Malice and Ryzeal are pretty much the only 2 viable decks in Master Duel at the moment. Sure. Mass change from 2 to 3. I was saying how this gives us access to the masked hero that ensures every card sent to the grave is banished instead, where if you have a dark monster in your deck, you can just turn it into your, I keep saying, what is his name? Masked Hero, Dark Law. The Dark Law. The law that is dark will ensure everything is banished if you just turn any dark monster into this with this. This is only teched into decks when tier limit was relevant, and since then, this has been pretty much not used at all. What else do we have? Now, newly semi-limited. All these changes I was talking about earlier, but this is it. Boom. Astrograph Sorcerer. Okay, an unhit. From 1 to 2, ain't no way. We have it at 3 in Master Duel, and have we cared? Has this really been that big of a deal in Master Duel? I don't think so. We have a recent Endy Meon deck is playing it at 3. Okay, pretty cool. Another Mad Lad playing it at 3. A lot of this one is only playing it at 1. We have this playing it at 3, but of course, these decks are not top tier. This did top a tournament with it only being played at 2 with the option of playing it at 3. So, okay, I would say that they do test a lot of things out in Master Duel also. So it's not just OCG passing down their ban list hits to us. They want to try things out in game for us, and we have showcased that it's not really doing much. What else do we have? Bystial Baldrake from 1 to 2, fully unlimited in Master Duel. What's the situation with Bystials overall? We have Magnum Hut limited to 1, right? Wow, they are across the board. Even Lubellion is limited to freaking 1. Druiswarm unlimited for us. Just Magnum Hut is the only limited Bystial in Master Duel. So again, a lot of these changes, we have not yet seen anything that could happen to Master Duel. Let's Emergency. From 1 to 2, we already have this unlimited. Konami is behind. What the heck is going on in the OCG? Why are they so afraid? Why not just go to 3? Go to 3. What's the worst that could freaking happen? That the sales of the newer pack goes down because so many want to just go back to the older decks? I think that's what they care a lot about, and on why they would not want to have it unrestricted. We have the Rescue Ace Airlifters also fully unlimited, right? The entire Rescue Ace deck is fully untouched in Master Duel. From my memory, yeah, these would be the main 2 cards you'd be hitting and unhitting. Keep on going. Pressure Planet. From 1 to 2, we do have this limited to 1 in Master Duel still, which we also have Terraforming banned in Master Duel. So this is not just 2 copies. This is essentially 3 copies of a card, which maybe this does tell us Konami would be more open to expanding Kashtira for other decks. I did talk about earlier in a big issue with Master Duel is deck diversity is on the down low. And I know Konami needs to sell top tier decks to make a lot of money, but I think the lesser of 2 evils is to further bolster up and boost and even release engines that could be played in multiple different decks. You could put Kashtira into almost any deck. You could put DPE in almost any deck, the Adventurer engine in almost any deck. So if they're going to have that mindset of just boosting up an engine like this to put in any deck, that may be actually a good thing for Master Duel, no matter how much you hate Kashtira. Izuna. This is essentially the new hand trap that is almost a staple in every deck. I can't say every deck, a lot of decks. If you look at the TCG popularity, Vanquish Soul, Crystron, Draco Tail, K9 itself, some Malice. I mean, to be fair, it's 98% not using it. Click on OCG, it is very similar. I am predicting that I think this will probably come out in February for Master Duel because it's the biggest thing that could happen for an anniversary. This is crazy. If the opponent we don't care about this effect, we don't care about that. If your opponent activate a monster effect in their hand or graveyard this turn, you special summon this card from your hand, and then you make a rank 5 Xyz, and that rank 5 Xyz is going to be the Nash. You're going to be able to Nash Knight, non-target Yoika monster on the opponent's side field. It is nuts. And with the Lupus, it also makes the monster untargetable, which you're going to be sending from the deck to the grave to then reborn to then Xyz during the opponent's turn. Do expect this to be all over the place when it comes to Master Duel. It's going to be huge. I am very much excited for it. And it's to the point where a lot of people in the TCG have been playing differently around this, even to the point where on your own freaking turn, you're activating Fool Loss because they have the possibility of Xyzing on your own first turn. People even activating Perelia on their own turn because it special summons from the freaking hand. And I was watching Syriax talk about his top with Blue Eyes, and he's like, sometimes I don't even activate Maiden from my hand because I don't want them to activate the Izuna to pop off from there. I would sometimes normal summon Maiden just to activate it to play around this freaking effect. And you don't even know if they have it in their hand or not. It's just crazy how much this has changed the game. What else we have? From 3 to 2, Yummy Snatchy. Holy moly, this is a card you definitely play 3 of. If we're looking at the tier list for the OCG and TCG, we have Yummy at the top of TCG, and the OCG, Yummy is quite up there because it has their newer card that the TCG does not yet have. Another extender and starter all in one, and also with the ability to recycle back your field spell. Yummy is in a great spot, so they definitely do have to be hitting the deck. And this is their main play. If you could, even having a Ogre, Ghost Ogre to pop this when it activates to play the field spell, if they don't have another card to synchro into, that could be a game-winning play. Just stopping their normal summon Yummy from even going into this is a game-winning play. So there you go. And you do, I've been playing this a lot. You do go through all 3 copies very quickly. Now you have a lot of ways to recycle them, but a lot of times you don't have to focus on recycling them because you always will usually have an additional copy in your extra deck. What else do you have? Sengen Kaiman hitting Tenpai. Okay, was Tenpai really doing much in OCG? What? Tenpai. Tenpai's not even had a tournament top in the last month of the OCG. The entire month, nothing. Wow, Tenpai getting hit with a stray. All the way down here in the past 3 months. What is going, is it being teched in a non-Tenpai deck? I have to now investigate a little bit. Let's click on the Kaiman. Kaiman in OCG. Dragon Maid? It cannot be the reason why. What the heck? These are all the most recent tops. I guess we have this dinosaur deck that maybe was using it a little bit. Sure. Interesting. All right. Yeah, I guess screw Tenpai. Sure. It looks like that's it for semi-limits. Let's now go to limited. Newly limited. Herald of the Arc Light from 3 to 1. I'm quite surprised that the OCG pretty much copied TCG's homework on this one, where this was easily being summoned not once, but up to 2 times by a Yummy player. They'd summon the first one on their own turn. They summoned the second one during the opponent's turn. And what's interesting about this, a lot of people view this as just an Omni Negate, but its other floodgate-like effect is quite effective against many decks. Any monster sent from the hand or main deck to the graveyard is banished instead. And we just looked at Izuna. Izuna would send Lupus from the deck to the graveyard, which you can't do with Herald of the Arclight on field. So no more can you put out more than 1. And another issue with that is it's not a hard once return. You got 2 on the field, you have 2 freaking negates. And board breakers are already weak as they are. I do think board breakers need a boost. And so if they restrict the amount of Omni Negates that are summonable by decks, then board breakers do become better. Vanquish Soul Raisin from 3 to 1, also copying the OCG. What I really didn't note on about this card, which I should have, is that this card is not just a starter, it's also a combo piece. And the type of combo piece it is makes it a garnet, which means if you draw this card, you lose that combo piece effect. And what the heck am I even talking about? I'm talking about the Holly Sue. Holly Sue, Holy Sue? Sue, there we go. I spelled Holly wrong, apparently. This has the effect to summon during the opponent's turn during their very first turn. So you're going first against me. I summon this during your turn, and then I have the effect to special summon a Raisin from my deck only into the same column as one of your monsters. Then I activate Raisin to destroy that column. Well, I can't do that if I open up the Raisin. Thus, the effect of Holly Sue is now not as good, tied to the Raisin being limited to 1. That does, and Azuna is also a card that's played in this deck, so these are Vanquish Soul hits, despite I just showed you that Yummy is the #1 deck by quite a wide margin, right? It was like 25% Yummy, I think it was like 13% Vanquish Soul. So this is quite interesting in what they're doing here. Maybe we're gonna see more Yummy hits along that line, because this seems to me to be much bigger of a hit than what Yummy has received, with Yummy being the best deck. I was close, 14%, 25%. What the heck is going on here? What else we have? Jokel, 3-1. Okay, what? That's another Vanquish Soul hit. What the? Wow, Jokel. You're going to reveal this card and another level 5 from your hand, especially so in both. And pretty much the focus of Vanquish Soul or any K9 deck is to just make a rank 5 Xyz, and then you pop off from there. And the rank 5 Xyz can negate a hand trap, negate Nibiru, also searches the deck. And if the opponent already activated an effect that turn from the hand, you get an additional effect of setting another form of disruption. Things get really out of hand quickly, and I'm really shocked by this. This is insane that this just got limited to freaking 1. Now, I was just saying how everyone's playing Azuna. Not everyone's playing Jokel. Let's see how many decks are playing the Jokel. Jokel, Vanquish Soul, K9, and Cyber Dragon, and some Crystron. Sulfacord, I guess, got hit by a Stray here. Some Super Heavy Samurai were enjoying the Jokel. Just easy rank 5 Xyz with any other level 5 in your hand. It also does have the additional effect of adding from your deck to your hand a K9 monster. So search your deck and rank 5 Xyz enabler. What else we have here? That's shocking. Huh, what the heck? Key 2, Draco Tail. I noted that on the TCG ban list, Draco Tail remained unhit. No hits for the Draco Tail, and Draco Tail is within the top 3 of the TCG. Now for OCG, Draco Tail is not even top 3. I mean, it's kind of close. 9% to 6.80%, that is. It's within the top 6 decks. But why are we hitting Draco Tail over something like Lunalight if it's already not doing that well? Maybe that card is techable on a lot of decks, right? We do want to be thinking about that. Oops, I spoiled myself on a card. Draco Tail, Key 2. Are non-Draco Tails playing this? This is the TCG. Draco Tail, Dragon Maid. Draco Tail, some branded and some Dragon Maid. So this mainly is a Draco Tail hit for a deck that already is not even within the top 3. Now, it's not just minus in additions with the tier list. You take off this deck, then everything else moves up. You could be reducing the effectiveness of a bad matchup for Draco Tail, and by doing so, Draco Tail could possibly skyrocket to the top of the tier list. Or you could have a deck like, let's say, Lunalight is maybe only here. I'm not saying this is the case, but maybe Lunalight is only doing so well because it specifically has a good matchup against Yummy. And if they reduce the effectiveness of Yummy, that then would reduce the effect of Lunalight if it were to have a good matchup against Yummy, where Draco Tail is maybe less dependent on another deck having a really good specific matchup. And I guess if you want to think that Konami's actually testing in-house their cards as they test out the ban list, then maybe that's what they saw, that Draco Tail would be too good with these other hits. All right, what else do you have? Eclipse, Wyvern. I do want to note something else, though. I really like the secondary effect of this. It not only adds a Draco Tail from your deck to your hand, I just want more cards to be like this, actually. It then has an additional effect of if your opponent controls a monster, you now could also perform a fusion summon. So what this does is, I said earlier, board breakers are weak. Going second is weak. It's not just a searcher for if you go first, but now an additional very powerful fusion summon when going second. I think that's great, but Konami says it's too great. Eclipse freaking Wyvern, banned across the board. They are leading the charge with this one. This is crazy. If sent to the graveyard, banish a level 7 or higher later Dark Dragon from your deck. Now, back in my day, I believe we were banishing Judgment Dragon as one of the options here. I think probably the most relevant one we would be banishing would be the Leveneer. This one, where it will summon the non-target pop up to 2 cards onto the field. So let's pretend that we're banishing this after the Eclipse Wyvern was sent to the graveyard in some way. Now that it's in the graveyard and our Leveneer is banished, if this card then becomes banished from the graveyard, you can now add the monster that is banished by this card's effect to your hand. And if you want to get really crazy, this is not limited to one. If you want to have a way where you could recycle your banished card back in the deck or your hand, then put it back in the graveyard, you could find some way to loop this card. Now, from the banishment to the graveyard is not being considered sent to the graveyard, so it would not trigger if you different dimension return it to the grave. But this is, I think, something. I would think maybe Dragon Link would like this, right? Are there any Dragon Linkers in the chat that are excited for this? Maybe, how about just Lightsworn? Lightsworn, if you forgot, it actually received new support and the deck pretty much did nothing after the new support. And now Chaos Lightsworn is maybe more so a much more viable way to play the deck. Newly Forbidden. We are done with the limiteds. Let's see. Forbidden. Evil Swarm Ouroboros. What the heck? Came out in the OCG in 2012, 13 years ago. It takes 13 years for a card to be too broken that we now have to ban it. Now, some of you may be scratching your head and thinking, why? What's going on? This is not being summoned in Master Duel. And you're right, it's not being summoned in Master Duel. If we look into it, what's really broken about it? This effect here, send 1 random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard, and it's not a hard once per turn, but it requires 3 level 4 monsters, right? Well, if we see in the OCG, Ryzeal and Heraldic Beast Ryzeal are the 2 decks that are prevalently using it. Now, a lot of you may have been led to believe that it's only being used in Heraldic Beast Ryzeal, but in regular Ryzeal, as you see there, 89% usage because they now have received Gaga Gaga. And what does the Gaga Gaga do? The Gaga Gaga spams level 4 monsters onto the field. So if I were to paint this picture for you, what they're going to be doing is they first summon the Ouroboros, rip a card out of the hand, and then they're going to make an Eclipse Twins, which we do not have in Master Duel yet. This is the key card on why we do not see Ouroboros yet. But once this comes out, you're going to be getting hand ripped. You're going to see Reddit posts crying about this. The Eclipse Twins will reborn the Ouroboros from engrave back on the field and have an Xyz material to activate again. So that's going to be at least 2 cards ripped from your hand. And that's with a 1-card combo within regular Ryzeal to rip 2 cards from your hand. If they have more than that, they could then use plugin. Instead of it being used on another card, plugin can reborn back in the field the Ouroboros. The plugin itself gives it an Xyz material, ripping a 3rd card out of your hand. And if they are playing the Heraldic Beast version of the deck, they could rip up to 5 freaking cards in your hand. They have a Heraldic Beast Xyz that could copy the effect. So if you don't know, you're about to know very soon if the Eclipse Twins were to actually come out. I made a video that Konami potentially teased that the new Evil Twin support could be coming out. And what better time would it be to then release the Twins with the Evil Twins, maybe in the same pack for October. So do get ready for your hand to get ripped. Now, what I also think is interesting is that OCG is, I think, quicker to ban a problematic card like this than the TCG, then the TCG follows afterward, because OCG led the charge on banning Paradise Smasher, and then TCG took too long to finally freaking ban that card. So maybe this will also get banned in Master Duel, or I should say in TCG, but we could also possibly consider this to be on the very next ban list that we're gonna have in Master Duel. Now, unfortunately, there's a Duels Cup happening, so we're gonna have to wait until the end of the Duels Cup, maybe not the night of, probably Monday or Tuesday of next week is when we'll get a ban list, and maybe you could expect the Ouroboros to be there. And if it is, if they do something to this card, you will have your confirmation that Eclipse Twins will be in the very next pack, which Ryzeal players will be rejoicing. What else do we have here? Obedient Schooled. Wow. I said that if we were to ever have a ban list where Obedience School is limited to 1, you now know that Yummy's coming out. And OCG Japan said, no, no, no. We would not limit this to 1. We would ban it. Freaking banned. What the hell? I mean, I showcased to you on the tier list. What's on the tier list? The best deck is Yummy, and that is the deck that it's being used in. Obedience freaking School. If you control no monsters, summon 3 level 2 or lower beast monsters from your deck, so 3 bodies in your deck onto the field. And if you ash this, well, this card's old. And you know old cards don't have a hard once per turn clause on them. They forgot to do that. They're thinking, why does this need to be hard once per turn when it's not activatable unless you control no monsters? So obviously the first activation turns off the second and third. Well, a card like Ash Blossom did not exist back in the day. And if you ash this, which you have to, they then have a second or third copy in their hand to follow up, and then you just scoop. That's it. And a lot of you could be thinking, just don't use Ash on this because they may have a second or third copy. You really can't hold on to your Ash. You have to do it. It created a really toxic scenario with the deck, and I do agree with this being hit at least limited to 1 before it comes out to Master Duel, even though I'm a fan of Yummy. What else do you have? And I think saying something like that will make people upset. They're going to say Decade, Malice, and Ryzeal pretty much very closely were released unhit. Why not something like this also? Why do we want to continue a bad cycle, right? If you say you don't like the current state of the game, and that is a big reason because of Malice and Ryzeal being mostly unhit. Now, Ryzeal did get X Ryzeal to 2. Let's get away from that. We just want diversity in the game, okay? And that will help out with diversity. We don't need Yummy to be the next tier 0 deck. Let's chill. We want it to be good, but not tier freaking 0 or super crazy tier 1. What else do we have here? That's it. Full changes. What are all the Yummy hits and the Vanquish Soul hits, since those are the top 2 decks? Obedience School, big Yummy hit, and something we could expect to be preemptively hit for when Yummy's about to come out in Master Duel. We then have the Herald of Arc Light, only summonable once instead of twice. We also had the Snatchy, went from freaking 3 to 2, and then the Canine Engine being semi-limited on the Izuna. This reminds me of Psyframe Gear Gamma. Psyframe Gamma. To play Gamma, you have to play Driver. Well, to play Azuna, you have to play Lupus. And now you're going to be further having to deal with the issue of, is it worth playing 2 Azuna to have a potential brick in your deck, the freaking Lupus? And then it may even get to the case where we see with Psyframe Gear Gamma, it's now limited to 1, and pretty much no one wants to play Gamma with the Psyframe driver because you draw the freaking brick for the one card that makes it not a brick. Disgusting. So that's maybe what's going to be happening here. And we also have some unhits onto the Pendulum. Let's quickly see what people are saying about the ban list on Master Duel Meta. Let's check it out. 90 comments. No hit to Max C. They're not hitting Max C anytime soon. They already put it to 2. That was it. And it was not. I almost think that if Konami thought the player base was going to be happy about Maxi being hit to 2, boy, are they wrong. All they did was create a scenario where people are now endlessly coping that Maxi will further get hit from there. Not a good choice if that was the reason why they did it. OCG had ban list, TCG had ban list. I think Konami forgot one more ban list. Where is the Master Duel ban list? We did not get a ban list for September. They only unhit cards the next pack. And now, in addition to that, we're going to have a delayed ban list because the Duels Cup. And I'm afraid to look, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I know people are getting tired of this, but I'm tired of it too. I will stop looking at this once it stops going down. So the only option is it goes to 0 and I forever cover it, or it stops going down. And I think that's up to Konami. Is it continually going down? 12, this was at 11K last time I checked, so good job, but I mean, it's still freaking going down. 16, 14, 13, 12K players. It's never been that low at any other point in Master Duel's history. I already showed 2023 to 2024 was the same player base. We stagnated, which is okay, right? And we now have lost that stagnation, but we didn't go up. we're going down, and we're going down hard. This is what happens when the game is not diverse and we have 2 delayed ban lists. Ban list delayed by a month, and now the ban list that we should have got last month is being delayed by an additional week. We normally, if it weren't for the Duels Cup, we'd have a ban list this freaking week to talk about and be excited about. Instead, with my freaking tournaments, we have to keep running these custom ban lists just to make the game playable. And I think that's it for the ban list. There you go. I'll see you on twitch.tv/Decade. We out.